next speaker has worked quite a few games that are now called massively multiplayer games, and was working on them before they had that name. Games like Bringing It to Life. Some games that almost got made, like Ultima Online 2. Some games that just barely got made, like Shadow Main. Now he's working on system design for a game he's trying to take on World of Warcraft with Star Wars. Please welcome Damion Schubert.
Hi. So I've never done a talk with 2 beers in me before, so this should be fun. So
You need another?
Absolutely. All right. So, what are we here to talk about tonight? Well, I know you don't, so you'll have to listen to me talk about it. What I wanted to ask tonight was, what is it that makes certain games just reach out and grab you? What makes them just easy to play, fun to play, immediately grab you? And it's more than that. It's what makes ideas grab you in general. What makes it so that certain pop songs get caught in your head? What makes it so that certain politicians can take normally reasonable people on your Facebook list, just spout random crap for no apparent reason? I missed the slide there. What makes it so that some franchises, some of the properties that we work with just stand the test of time? And, what I want to get at is the idea that some ideas just stick, right? Some ideas just stay with you. They reach out and they grab you very, very fast. And these ideas, they resonate with you on a very, very core level, and it's very easy for those ideas to find purchase on the consumer, on the player, on the designer who's actually making these games. And, I think the core I want you to take away is that it's because people like what they like, and they like it on a very, very fundamental level. A very, very core level. How fast is this decision process? How many people have worked on a 5-minute prototype? We're going to make 5 minutes of great, awesome gameplay. And this 5 minutes of gameplay is going to show the producers, the publishers, that they should give us more money. This is going to show the people playing E3 that our game is awesome, right? I would posit that 5 minutes, as people building the game, are like, oh, 5 minutes is not enough to see our true genius. Right? You can't get the real taste of our game in 5 minutes. It turns out that 5 minutes may be way too long. Most people make their decisions about what they like in a very, very short period of time. Like 15 seconds, 5 seconds, 2 seconds. In his book, Blink, Malcolm Gladwell says that a lot of people decide whether or not they like something in 2 seconds. They know immediately whether or not they like a person, whether or not they like a song, whether or not they like a movie, almost immediately. And after that, everything that you're working against is prejudice. Now think about that. That means a song on the radio, if it doesn't get in the first 2 stanzas, they are basically earning back everything with a really hot bridge or a really hot chorus. 2 seconds is not a lot of time. 5 seconds is not a lot of time. After that, you're overcoming prejudice. You're overcoming what people already think about you. And he calls this thin slicing. This idea that we just make judgments very, very fast is a natural survival mechanism. And this is one of the things that, for example, creates prejudice, and the fact that we don't necessarily like people who don't look like us or talk like us and things like that. But these are our customers, and this is what we're working with, right? Think about this. This movie is 5 seconds long and earned the adulation of millions. That is how fast somebody can like or dislike your game, your movie, your art. So, speed dating, that's a similar concept. You have 60 seconds to talk to this person. You have 5 minutes to talk to this person. You don't have time to find out anything deep about this person that you're talking to, just enough time to figure out if you share a wavelength with this person, whether or not you have any resonance with this person. It's all about finding that wavelength. So, what does that mean for us? What are the first 2 seconds of your game like? All right, let's say that you get past this, you get past the brag screen, and you get past the credits, and you get past the fact that your publisher and your developer and your license holder want to show you their logo, right? You're in the game. Really, what's the first 2 seconds going to be? It's going to be jump, right? You're going to walk 3 steps, and you're going to jump. How many people have walked 3 steps and jumped first thing, and it's been sluggish, or slow, or wonky, or jerky, and you just kind of put down the controller and go, yeah, I don't know about this. Right? How many, right? This is all prejudice that you built in 5 seconds of gameplay that you have to work past as a developer. That first 5 seconds is so important. And it's all about, again, building that initial resonance so that you can co-stack for that. I can't find this research. I would have tried harder if it was, if you're called. But there was a paper 10 years ago about one designer who swore up and down that the perfect jump duration was 1.8 seconds. Like, you get a little air, you hang a little bit, you fall down. He looked at all these games. He said the perfect jump duration is 1.8 seconds. To be honest, I don't know if that's the real number because I couldn't find the paper. But it was something like that, right? And I just find it fascinating to think that, whether or not it's true, I don't know. Somebody should do research on that. I find it fascinating that people are trying to disassemble fun games because other media, they've been trying to disassemble what's fun about this stuff for years. So, for example, people are now developing software to figure out whether or not pop songs are going to be hits. This scares the hell out of all of my musician friends. Because really soon they're going to have the software to write the fucking hits. Right? But let's go back farther. Let's talk about Carl Jung, right? This is all this idea that certain ideas resonate with us because at the very core level we all have this sort of shared pool of things that we're reaching for, these sort of shared archetypes, these shared ideas that we all have. And if you read his stuff, it's nutty stuff. It's really cool stuff, but it's fun. It's also the father of this sort of thought leads into the Joseph Campbell stuff. And Joseph Campbell is, much like the people trying to disassemble music really get pissed off on musicians. Because Joseph Campbell really pisses off all of my writer friends. I work at Bioware because Joseph Campbell basically wrote a book that said they claim that he wrote a book that said this is the formula to writing a perfect story that echoes inside of anyone. And the reason they say that is because he wrote a book that basically said this is how to write a perfect story that echoes into everybody. He wrote a book that basically said if you look through all the myths, through all of the civilizations, they all hit these high notes of a young boy, he here's the call of destiny, he first pushes away, but he's thrust into action, and then blah, 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 he goes to a mentor figure, he reaches unlimited power, he saves the world, and probably dies at the end of this. This is, notes of this appear in the story of Jesus, in the story of Moses, in the story of Muhammad. And people have since taken that, because they read this book, and applied it to, for example, the stories of Star Wars and The Matrix. And if you search for Star Wars Matrix Campbell on the World Wide Web, there's some entertaining reading there for people who've done this disassembly. But the question is, does the Star Wars and The Matrix, do these movies echo with us because we are somehow hardwired in our brain so that these ideas, young boy, unlimited power, yada yada, have resonance in, just in our very nature? Or a more interesting question for us as game designers, because this is something we can actually use, is that borrowed resonance, which is to say, are these stories fascinating to us because we've heard them before? Does The Matrix and Star Wars appeal to us because we see echoes of the story of Jesus Christ in it, right? We know these stories on the final level because we've heard them before, and so they might have some resonance. And that's an interesting idea, and it's something that you see inside the game industry an awful lot. And you can be very subtle with it, or you can outright thief with it. So God of War, I worked with the developer of God of War for a while, and he said one of the things that they tried to do is when they had action poses, they would try to hold poses that you recognize from other movies like Star Wars or Superman or Conan, because for a brief moment, you wouldn't even consciously say it. You would just say, I know that pose, and your brain would like it more, right? Because it had that familiarity to it. EverQuest, Asheron's Call, EverQuest went to war a long time ago. Asheron's Call tried to make their own stuff and be completely and totally original and alien and unique. EverQuest gave you orcs and elves and dwarves and all the stuff you knew before. And a lot of the reason I think it succeeded is because it had that resonance and people knew it coming into the space, and it made it easier to get over all the other hurdles of playing a massive multiplayer game. Alpha Centauri. In my opinion, a better game than Civilization 2, which preceded it. But Alpha Centauri was trying to get you to build envirocyclomancer novels. And Civilization, you're learning how to build a wheel, right? You're learning how to build a library. And these ideas have resonance to you. You know what they are. They're familiar to you. And so these these ideas have more purchase. Legends and sequels, fast way to build residents. By the way, round of applause for the Mickey team. That 10 seconds doesn't count as my time. License and sequels are a fast way to get initial residents, but you also have a longer road to hoe to actually maintain that residence, because you have to actually be true to the vision of whatever you're trying to build against. Anyway, one of the things that I thought I should give you guys one takeaway, other than me just spouting off for 10 minutes. One of the other things that Gladwell says is that people who are expert matters inside of their field are very, very, very good at detecting whether or not something is right or wrong, mostly wrong. He talks about how forgers actually can look at a painting and tell almost instantly if the forgery is wrong. They don't know why, but they know when they have to investigate something. And so one of the things I would say to you guys, and this is one of the things that I've learned in my career that is, Jesus, 10 years now. Trust your instincts. Almost every time that my brain has said, yeah, I guess that's okay, I don't know, we'll deal, that's fine for now. Almost every time I have revisited that piece of art, that piece of design, that piece of whatever it is later. If you are a good designer, trust your instincts, especially when something is wrong. Trusting when your instincts is right is harder because we tend to fall in love with our ideas, but usually we have very good ideas when something is wrong. Anyway, I'm out of time, and so those are my conclusions, and I won't bore you by reading them. Thank you, and good night.